It often begins the same way: a knock at the door late at night, a stranger waiting outside, quiet but persistent. And when the door opens, it is not a stranger at all. It is a child, pale, expressionless, asking to come inside. But then the detail that makes the blood run cold the eyes. Completely blacked out, no whites, no pupils. Just endless darkness staring back. These are the black-eyed children. And for decades, people all over the world have reported terrifying encounters with them. The story first entered public awareness in the mid-1990s. A Texas journalist named Brian Bethel wrote of his strange encounter one late evening. He was sitting in his car in a parking lot when two boys approached, asking for a ride. They said they wanted to see a movie and that they needed a lift home to get money. At first, Bethel considered it odd. They seemed normal enough. But something about them felt off and unnatural. As the conversation continued, he noticed their eyes. Black, entirely black. A wave of fear washed over him. He described it as a primal terror, as though his body knew something his mind could not explain. He fled the scene, shaken, convinced that had he let them in, something terrible would have happened. When he shared his story, others began coming forward. People from different states, even different countries, claimed they too had seen children who did not seem human. Children who asked for help in the dead of night. Children whose eyes revealed nothing but darkness. The reports shared a pattern. These children often appeared in groups of two or more. They spoke politely, but their words seemed rehearsed, almost mechanical. They would ask to be let inside a home, a car, sometimes even an office. And always there was a reason. They needed to use the phone, they needed shelter, they were lost. The stories varied, but the request was the same: permission to enter. Witnesses described an overwhelming sense of dread, a gut feeling that something was deeply wrong. One man reported his dogs growling and refusing to approach the children. Another claimed that after refusing to let them in, he suffered a string of bad luck illness, financial loss, nightmares that lasted for weeks. These accounts spread through early internet forums, email chains, and later paranormal websites. And with every new story, the legend grew stronger. Skeptics dismissed it as folklore, a modern urban myth. But believers argued that the consistency of the details, the pale skin, the monotone voices, the black, soulless eyes could not be ignored. By the late 1990s, the black-eyed children had become one of the most chilling urban legends of the digital age. Yet, unlike ghost stories or campfire tales, these accounts were not from decades past. They are real. They are happening now in modern neighborhoods, to ordinary people. And the most disturbing detail: the children are always asking for the same thing: access. Entry into your space, your car, your home, your life. But why? Why do they need permission? And what happens if someone says yes? To answer that, we must look closer at the countless eyewitness accounts and the disturbing pattern they reveal. The first stories were easy to dismiss. Strange children, late-night encounters, a trick of the imagination. But as the years passed, a chilling pattern began to emerge. No matter where the stories came from, the United States, the United Kingdom, even parts of Asia and Australia, the details were almost identical. The children always appeared at night. They always traveled in pairs or small groups. And most unsettling of all, they always asked for permission to enter. A woman in rural Vermont told of being awoken one stormy evening by a knock on her farmhouse door. When she answered, two children stood outside, one boy, one girl, soaked from the rain. They asked politely if they could come in to use the phone. She hesitated, unsettled by their emotionless tone. Then she saw their eyes. Black, glossy, endless. She slammed the door, heart racing, and later claimed she heard soft tapping on the windows long after the children had gone. Another man in Oregon recalled being approached while smoking outside his home late at night. A young boy, no older than 12, asked if he could come inside because he was lost. The man described feeling paralyzed by fear, his instinct screaming that something was wrong. When he refused, the boy's expression turned blank. The child repeated the request again and again, voice calm but commanding, as though rehearsed. Eventually, the man fled inside and locked every door. Witnesses often describe a sense of unnatural pressure during these encounters. The children's voices are monotone, their movements slow, almost deliberate. Some claim their technology phones, radios, even car engines malfunctioned in the children's presence. Dogs and cats often react violently, growling, hiding, or refusing to go near them. What unsettles people most is their behavior. Unlike normal children, they show no real emotion. No fear, no excitement, no natural warmth. Only the cold persistence of a single demand. Let us in. It is the consistency that makes the stories so disturbing. Whether the sighting is in a small town or a busy city, whether the witness is a parent, a driver, or a night shift worker, the script is always the same. A request for entry, the black eyes, the overwhelming sense of danger, and always the instinct to refuse. But what if someone says yes? Accounts of this are rare. Few people claim to have allowed the children inside. Those who say they did describe falling ill soon after severe migraines, unexplained nosebleeds, and lingering nightmares. Some report weeks of insomnia, always haunted by the same sound, knocking at the door. There are whispers online of darker outcomes, stories of people who vanished after encounters with the black-eyed children, but hard evidence is difficult to find. The truth is buried beneath rumor, fear, and folklore. Still, the questions remain. Why do they need permission? Are they spirits, demons? Something not of this world? And why do their appearances follow such a strict, chilling pattern? In folklore, creatures that require permission, vampires, fae, certain spirits, are said to be bound by unseen rules. Perhaps the black-eyed children follow this same ancient law, or perhaps it is a clue to something even stranger. Whatever the explanation, the reports only grew more frequent with time. More witnesses, more accounts, more evidence that something was happening, something that could not be dismissed as coincidence. And so the theories began. The paranormal community offered explanations supernatural, alien, even demonic, each one darker than the last. To understand who or what the black-eyed children might be, we must step into the world of speculation, where folklore, science fiction, and fear collide. When faced with something as unsettling as the black-eyed children, the human mind searches for answers. Explanations, patterns that can make the unexplainable feel less threatening. Over the years, countless theories have emerged, each one attempting to explain who or what these children really are. One of the oldest theories connects them to demonic entities. In folklore across cultures, beings with dark or unnatural eyes are often seen as harbingers of evil. Their need for permission to enter echoes the ancient myths of demons and vampires creatures, unable to cross a threshold without being invited. Believers argue that the children's polite persistence and their chilling black gaze suggest something parasitic, feeding not on blood but on fear itself. Another theory suggests the children are spirits of the dead, lost souls trapped between worlds. Some witnesses report feelings of intense sadness during encounters, as though the children were not only terrifying but tragic. In this view, the black eyes symbolize emptiness, the absence of life, the void of humanity. But not all theories remain in the realm of the supernatural. Some point to the possibility of extraterrestrial origins. The black, oversized eyes are reminiscent of the classic gray alien archetype, often associated with abduction stories. Perhaps believers suggest the black-eyed children are a disguised form of something not of this earth. There are also those who believe the phenomenon is psychic or interdimensional. The children, they argue, are not physical beings at all, but manifestations of something slipping through cracks in reality. Their presence disrupts electronics, causes unease, even influences dreams. Skeptics, however, offer simpler explanations. The story as we know it today can be traced back to the late 90s, right as internet forums were becoming mainstream. It has all the hallmarks of what we call digital folklore. A story gets posted, it gets shared, and with each share, it gets a little more detailed, a little more consistent. It's a classic urban legend for the internet age. Our brains are wired to see patterns, to find agency where there is none. A shadow, a strange noise, a child with an unusual medical condition seen in poor lighting. Our fear fills in the blanks. The black eyes are a potent symbol. They represent a lack of soul, a void. When we hear a story like that, our own anxieties about deception and the unknown are projected onto it, making it feel viscerally real, even if it isn't. Yet for every skeptic, there is a witness who swears their experience was real. They describe the atmosphere, the dread, the absolute certainty that what they saw was not human. And it is this tension between folklore and fact, between fear and logic, that keeps the black-eyed children alive in our collective imagination. Are they demons, ghosts, aliens, or something our minds create in the shadows of the night? What is certain is this: the stories are not fading. They continue to spread. From whispered encounters in small towns to viral posts on the internet, the black-eyed children remain with us. And that raises another question. If the children are not real, why do so many people believe they've seen them? What is it about this legend that digs into our psychology that unsettles us so deeply? To understand that, we must turn not to folklore, but to psychology. Because sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones our own minds create. How do you live after the silence they leave behind? For many, the world shrinks. You stop answering the door after dusk. You install new locks, then check them obsessively. Some turn to online forums, finding a quiet fellowship of the haunted, sharing stories in the digital dark to prove they aren't crazy. Others try to bury it, forcing a frantic return to normalcy, telling themselves it was a dream, a trick of the light. But these are more than just habits. They are rituals of survival. Each precaution, each shared story, is a desperate attempt to reclaim a sense of safety that was shattered by a simple knock on the door. The truth is, some mysteries aren't meant for closure. The story of the black-eyed children doesn't end with an explanation. It ends with a question. We can search for answers in folklore, psychology, or hushed online confessions, but every theory is just another guess in the dark. The story's true power isn't in what they are, but that they are a persistent, chilling anomaly that defies us. It is a legacy of pure ambiguity, leaving not an answer, but a choice. Because when the knock comes to your door, what you believe won't matter, only what you do.